Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Untangle the Complexities in Trade Finance with AI-powered automation. This webinar is brought to you by Express Computer in partnership with IBM. I'm Sudipta Dev, Senior Associate Editor with Express Computer. By 2022, it is expected for businesses to release USD 134 billion in labor value by combining automation with AI. Integrating an AI-powered automation strategy is key to remain competitive, simplify operations, and make these operations more intelligent. Banks can apply AI-powered automation to manage complex technology environments and simplify workflows and tasks, all of which reduces costs and gives back time to the people so that they can focus on what is the most strategic for them. Trade finance market is projected to grow, and therefore banks have been realizing that trade finance is one of their strategic business models. And therefore it is imperative for banks to evaluate and adopt an end-to-end digital approach for automating trade finance. Sharing with you the expert knowledge on the subject are our speakers for the day, Satyen Kumar Jadeja, Associate Director, Industry Solutions and Business Development, Finance Services Sector, IBM India and South Asia, and Pawan Rawal, Technical Solution Manager, IBM India and South Asia. But before I hand over to them, I wanted to go over some of the house rules. This is an audio and video webinar being broadcasted live and will be available on demand. We will have polls in between the webinar. I request you all to participate in the same. We will have a round of Q&A at the end of the webinar. However, you can send in your questions anytime during the webinar using the questions box. If you face any technical issues, please try to refresh your browser or else reach out to our team using the same questions text box. If you have any further questions or wish to interact with our speakers, please leave a comment using the questions box and you will be contacted post the webinar. That's all from my side for now. Without taking any more of your time, I invite Satyen and Pawan to take the session forward. Gentlemen, the floor is all yours. Over to you.
I thank you so much, Sudipta, and very good morning to all of you. Really, thank you so much and really appreciate your time joining this. And I'll quickly share my screen so that we can, yes. So thank you so much, everyone, and really pleasure to be here sharing our thought process and experiences in trade finance. What I'm going to do along with my colleague Pawan here is first give you the context and what are the key trends happening on the corporate banking and especially on the trade finance and what we are seeing in terms of our experiences there. And then Pawan will help you to guide through and take you through some technological aspects in what we are doing in trade finance digitization, which is enabled using AI and automation set of technologies. And we, as Sudipta said, that we'll have some polls during the whole webinar session. So we request your participation in the same. We have been going through a kind of turbulent times, and last year has been a kind of a watershed in terms of business, and we are kind of trying to come back from all the COVID epidemic, right? And again, we are seeing some resurgence there. In all that, I think the banks have stood a kind of a pillar to the economy, not only in India, but across the global trade and other transactions which are happening and becoming very important aspect. Over last couple of years, what we have seen that there is a significant interest in terms of digitization enabled by various technologies in corporate banking. Especially, we are seeing good elements of adoption of technologies and digitization and various technologies like AI in retail banking. We are seeing that similar significant interest and benefits are being observed. in the corporate banking arena, right? And as per IDC, a lot of banks here, not only globally, but here in India also, are planning to deploy a set of technologies in these areas of whether it's trade, treasuries, corporate lending, elements of AI, automation, digitization technologies, right? And if you quickly, I'll cover, not take much more time here because our focus here is going to be on trade finance. But what we are seeing here from IBM perspective, engaging with a lot of banks, not only in India, but in globally, is there is a significant interest happening in intelligent automation, digitization of corporate banking, transaction banking processes. There is a good traction that we are seeing on API banking and how corporate transactions can be more smoothly enabled, whether it's payments, real-time payments, or remittances, or reconciliations, and ERP integrations on using APIs, right? And some banks are thinking on using APIs, marketplaces for corporate customers. So that is definitely happening. Similarly, the corporate customers of the banks are expecting much more seamless transaction banking experiences from their banks, right? And they feel the kind of a retail-like or the Uberization of experiences would be also a good step forward in terms of how we can reimagine the customer experience. The few of the banks are also talking very seriously about how we can leverage much more AI, ML, analytics technologies in the various banking processes, including one of the banks that we were discussing was using kind of how can we enable a bot for a treasury operations. And so, I mean, the banks are on the cusp of adopting more and more set of capabilities in various corporate banking functions, and customer engagement, as well as back office is also very critical. There's a lot of manual aspect to it. So we are seeing that the banks are looking at kind of creating a very lean back office, at the same time improving the customer experience. And the set of technologies which are of top kind of concerns are analytics, automation, AI, blockchain, and those kind of technologies are of significant interest to the banks in that. So coming to the specific area on trade finance, a lot of you may be aware and are deep into it. And what we have seen that different banks are at different level of maturity in terms of AI and digitization in the trade finance processes. And today, if you see, I'm just taking a very outside-in view here, but there are a set of challenges, right? The customers may have to visit a branch to submit the forms, and obviously there will be a lot of manual verifications. There are a set of technologies being used like OCR, ICR, but it's more like a document repository rather than much value addition there. Then obviously there are now KYC checks, signature verification, data validation aspect of it. There also there's a lot of manual checks are of the nature there in a lot of banks, and some banks have moved forward in terms of digitizing some of those areas. So apart from the checks, you also have a lot of back-end verifications, anti-money laundering, negative list, compliance, and all that aspects. So there is a lot of labor-intensive work happening on the back offices side for the banks. And is there a way where we can, really improve upon certain of these areas? Because obviously the customer expectations are changing. And this is you will all agree, trade finance is a complex process. It's not a simplified. If it would have been simple, then it would have been digitized and all benefits would have, accrued over quickly. But it's a complex process. The document varieties are huge. There is a large set of documents, the document complexity, what to extract, what to interpret. There are multiple nuances, and this is where exactly AI and automation technologies will be of great use. So obviously from the requirement perspective, we see that banks are trying to create a more digital client engagement. But at the same time, you want to make your back offices much more operationally efficient. They also, it would be very pertinent to have a very 360-degree view of a particular transaction, because it's just generally a isolated transaction, not in an isolation, but there is you have a history of past transactions, and there may be some concerns there, or there may be some opportunities there by seeing those past trade transactions, right? So those views are also very important. And then the whole compliance regulatory aspect is continuously evolving, right? So you need to be very agile to ensure your trade process is very compliant in nature. And can we leverage AI and other technologies, automation technologies in this process to make the process much more efficient? So I thought that these are the set of challenges that we are seeing. Very inefficient, sometimes processes, a lot of back office, customer also asking multiple changes back and forth. Imagine in a LC amendments and going back and forth, keeping track of remittances, things like that. So there's a lot of back and forth happening. The process is very complex. How do you streamline this using this set of technologies? So that is the context I wanted to lay out. And do we have the set up the kind of the right now stop for the poll question right now? Is that right? I would request everybody to participate in the poll here, quick poll, just to get see how you are currently faring in terms of your turnaround processes on trade finance. So we'll wait for 45 seconds to for you to respond on the poll.
Thank you, Satyen. I'll read out the question for our audience. So what are the current turnaround time for processing trade finance requests? The options are less than a day. Second option is 7 to 14 days, and more than 14 days. I request our audience, please select one of the options so that Satyen and Pawan, they can analyze the results and give us a clarity.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is the result. Satyen, can you please tell us what you think about it?
Yeah, yes, I mean, it is what we expected, that this is what we are observing when we are engaging with a lot of banks here and in India and in globally, that most of the trade processes are between 7 to 14 days. And that's what our experience has been. And that presents potentially kind of triggers a thought process. Can we improve this? Because customers, if you ask the bank's customers, obviously they like to do things much faster from the request processing. Obviously, the inward remittances or LC part and all may be much longer processes, but some of them can be definitely be improved. And that's what I wanted to bring to fore. How do we drive not an incremental, but a step change in the trade business, right? In terms of how do we engage with our transaction banking customers in much more agile manner? How do we simplify these processes so that they find it, very easy to engage with the banks? At the same time, can we have a very optimized business process so that our backend operations becomes much more leaner, right? That's the thought process that we want to bring to the, and this can be enabled using the whole digitization aspect of it. We can leverage set of technologies in like AI or machine learning into this to make this process leaner as well as much more customer friendly, right? That's the thought process that I wanted to convey to the participants here. So if we, and to do this, we have been engaged for past couple of years with multiple banks globally in this area. And the kind of, as I said, it's a step change. So if it is a step change, we have we've done a very detailed, almost long-term project with Standard Chartered, and we have brought about 50% time savings in the whole trade document processing, and that is enabled by the whole AI automation technologies into that. So the Stanchart had a trade engine, and this is for their Asia Pacific. We did a project, and kind of the volumes that they were processing, being in Singapore and APAC, was almost 36 million pages of trade documents that we were kind of in an automated manner processing. And IBM worked very closely with Standard Chartered, along with, so it was a great co-creation effort, bringing in expertise of Stanchart and IBM together to really bring about a significant efficiency in the whole trade processing using the technologies, what we call as trade AI engine for Stanchart. So that is one example. So what we are talking here is really backed by a very solid experience in implementing and re-engineering this whole trade finance processes. We also work very closely with HSBC Global Trade Finance, and they improved their machine-based data reading of the documents, almost 90% data accuracy rate. So that's the kind of experience our team brings to the table, having done very such prestigious banks and global trade transactions, which really kind of test the solution that we have developed for these banks, and they have seen significant efficiency and improvement in their trade processes. So with that, what it is, and that's where I wanted to kind of lay out that what is the element of automation possible in this. And if we really see, and I'll later on, Pawan will take a lot of, give you a technical AI and what all we are really doing into that aspects of the solution. But I just bring a context of the business aspect that where you have an importer and exporter transaction happening and the bank is in between, the dotted blue lines represents where there's a possibility of automation. At the same time, there could be a step manual checks in between to ensure things are in order, and somewhere there will be a physical intervention. Those who are in trade finance will know that some of those documents still is in paper form. But we are overall moving to a lot of areas of automation into this, right? So broadly speaking, the question would arise, are you saying that should we replace our trade engine? We are not saying that. What we are saying is that really what we can create a very value addition layer based off AI and automation, which will front end the trade engine part of it. So what we are really bringing to the table is we can help you in potentially creating a digital customer engagement. So you can initiate trade processes through portal and even track and see the status on your mobile, or obviously the digital brand support is very much there. Then there is a second value addition that we are bringing is end-to-end process digitization. So the middle office part of it, how much we can leverage AI and automation there. The third aspect is integrating using API to, whether it's a API to Swift interactions and things like that, or external party validations. And then all this getting integrated to your existing trade engine. And then also we can help you in terms of developing reporting and analytics for your regulatory and compliance. So I think we have another poll question. So Sudipta, just let me know when we want to do it. So I'll do that. So we can, if you can. So we have another poll question here. Yeah.
Yes, I'll read out the poll question. It is, what is the level of automation you have adopted in your existing trade finance processes? We have three options. No automation, fully manual. The second option is have some level of automation, mostly for data extraction. And the third is fully automated. I request the audience to please click on one of the options so that Satyen can give his insight. I'll again read the question. What is the level of automation you have adopted in your existing trade finance processes? We have a few seconds left. Okay, can we have the results? Yes, here they are. Satyen, what are your views?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the poll response to the participants. I think 95% of respondents have said that they have some level of automation, mostly for data. 0% is saying fully automated, and 5% are saying no automation, fully manual. So as I earlier hinted, that the banks are in varying level of automation adoption in trade and corporate banking. So it resonates very well in the whole what we are seeing in the poll response here. So thank you for your poll response. And this is where we feel that there is a way forward, a path forward, where we can go towards the journey of full automation, from some level of automation. And that's where I will little bit go now in the brass tacks, and then post this, Pawan will take it over. But if you say that the next question that arises in everybody's mind is that, yes, this is great technologies, AI, automation, but how do I use it in trade finance? It's a complex process. So we have kind of broken it down into a few areas here. If you start from document checking, can we leverage set of technologies? Absolutely. In data extraction, when the forms come in for a LC or a BG or remittance request, right? Data extraction and review. So once you submit a document, the data extraction, there is a level of maturity we have seen in some OCR ICR engine. What we are talking about, a further step change in our ability to extract much more complex documents than traditional OCR ICRs have been doing. So we have elevated using various technologies, and Pawan will clarify that how we are doing it. Then once that what documents have been scanned and digitized, what to extract, this is where there is a lot of value addition that's going to come from natural language processing and natural language understanding, a part of AI set of capabilities that is called understanding what is written in that document, right? That typically earlier used to be done by a human. Now it is the ability of machines to understand what has been extracted and contextualize in terms of what the request is. So first of all, you should identify what document it is. So document classification is important. Then the trade data verification, because there may be Incoterms in there, what to interpret of those Incoterms. The company names are a little bit written in a different fashion. Is this the same organization or is this a different organization? You need to understand that. So all that has to be automated using NLU, NLP set of technologies, and ensuring that we have some accelerators like bill of lading verifier and things like that. So those trade data verifications. Then once it is done that, then you get into scrutiny of the documents, right? Whether you require a further scrutiny or not, it is processed to be processed immediately. So those scrutiny also, there is a significant artificial intelligence, deep learning algorithms can be developed to recommend to the bank checker in terms of what level of scrutiny it has to be done and things like that. So that is going to be very important. And then basis that, you may have to even validate this set of things with some external agencies like ECGCI or Ministry of Corporate Affairs, ROC, or IT, income tax validation. You want to do some complex business checks and business rules have to be employed. I was seeing some questions on that. Rules are there, right? Global rules, UCP, URC, Incoterms. So yes, those business rules can be validated. Absolutely, that is very important there. And then you further either approve it or you ask for further this thing. So this kind of complexity of rules, we can create 1,000 rules. I mean, that's the flexibility, and that doesn't require deep level coding. A business person can create rules. So we have brought about that kind of flexibility, because sometimes the compliance requirement may change and you want to address it. So this is where we are, as you see, every step in a trade finance process, we are bringing new set of capabilities using AI and automation to help you automate, to help you reduce the risk, to help you improve the compliance, to help you take right decisions and ensure no frauds and those kind of things are avoided. So that's where is really kind of helpful in every stage of a trade process, right? So from here, I will hand it over to my colleague Pawan. And Pawan, I'll hold the slide. Just tell me when you want to move to the next slide. So I would like to introduce my colleague Pawan. And Pawan brings in a great experience on implementing trade finance processes for some of the very prestigious banks globally. And he has been involved, instrumental in doing some trade automation projects here in India too. So he has a good context on both sides. So over to you, Pawan.
Thanks, Satyan. Perfectly, you have basically articulated the challenges what everyone has, and these two exciting poll questions are there, which give us insight. Yes, a TAT is a problem. Everybody at the TAT is problem. Although people has done some kind of automation also, and here we are coming with an AI-driven trade finance processing, which talks about how we can help to bridge the gap, means how we can leverage the investment made by a bank, as well as how we can help them in improving the TAT. And all that I would like to talk in next couple of minutes. And you're seeing an interesting chart which talks about an AI-driven approach, which talks about how in an enterprise this can be plugged in well. So if you look into this slide, it has a left-hand side as well as a right-hand side. Left-hand side talks about interactions like bank, branches, trade portal. It can be bots also. Bank has multiple channels are there. How we can engage, how we can connect with existing banks investment, help them processing the document with leveraging AI, ML technologies, and pass the intelligence of human to our back office team also, or integrate very well with the back office application. So if you look into this diagram, it talks about OCR, ICR technology solution, which IBM is providing. If you have some kind of your solution, we can plug into your solution also if required to be, and do a cognitive data capture as part of this. When we talk about cognitive data capture, here we are talking about your document classification and data extraction. Review the classified information, define the score on that, and based on that, process the application. If we look into, based on our experience while interacting to various banks and financial services organization, what we figured out that the biggest challenge right now is there's a lot of manual intervention, although there's a lot of technology adoption is there. If you look from my left hand side also, in terms of interactions, like trade portals are there, still there's a lot of back and forth takes place between customer and bank, which increase turnaround time. The technology and approach, what we are proposing right now from IBM side, what we would like to say that how we can capture the information, whatever we are getting from customer, validate it, and figure out that if there is any gaps are there, and point it to that specific gap to our customer so that they can go back if they miss something and fix that particular so that we can initiate the process. If while doing that, we would like to do zero human intervention. Right now, we are saying during pandemic and post pandemic also, people are avoiding going to branch, and people are leveraging a kind of online platform of banks and financial institute to process their application. While processing their application, this back and forth has increases vis-a-vis when they were visiting branch. The reason is because at the branch side, there's an intelligent person, an experienced person is there who provide them guidance on the fly. But right now we are seeing these are the challenges are there. So this technology helps in terms of cognitive data capture, figured out whether all the required, the form is duly filled properly, all the attachments, required attachments is there or not. The tool will automatically classify this. As soon as we classify this particular information, we figured out that yes, this information is correct. We use a rule-based engine. I just saw that Mr. Joseph has raised one question on UCP, URC 600, 500. This is rules from ICC. Or there can be certain rules which are specific to bank based on bank's experience, knowledge base. That can be also applied on that particular application based on the data extraction. It also support ICR extractions, a signature extractions as part of that. It will take about all the rules. For example, the rules are not static in nature. These rules also change over the time also. And the challenge is how these rules can be changed and how my system is aware about it. So the system will connect to backend systems. It goes to RBI side, it goes to ICC side where these UCP, URC rules are highlighted there, can be pulled as they are updated. It will connect to DGFT site. It will connect to IceGate gateways. It will connect to customer's website, whether the application comes, is there the correct application or not? A person who is asking for who is want support on means he was asking his putting an application on a particular product like a gold, but he is doing automobile job. How we can basically get insight about his organization also. So, and further connect with the proper nouns with your AML systems, whatever is available in your organization, so that we will have a consolidated view out of it based on historic data of that particular customer, and then pass a decision sheet. So what I have spoken in a minute also is all about scrutiny rules. After applying a scrutiny rules on that particular application, documents which you have received using AI, and then after processing this information, we will connect to a backend application of which is running in bank. If there is no such backend application is there, we have a solution to address that automation level also. So a person in a back office has all the information available with him so that he can take a quick decision about it, so that the TAT, which is going from 4 to 8 to 14 days, whatever, just as per the poll result, will be reduced significantly, and it will provide a guidance to back office in terms of streamlining their decision process. And if there are certain exceptions need to be taken care, that can also be taken care about it. This approach, whatever we have showcased, is not only applies for trade finance, but this can be extended to other services, other corporate systems of bank like LSOG, remittance, and many more. You can use this particular system altogether. So this is an enterprise grade platform, a solution which can plug into your system, help you to reduce your TAT, help you to achieve an automation, which generally done by a large human team. But here we are not talking about replacing a human team. We are just talking about to bring better decisions which can be taken care by the system, and the system will provide their decision accuracy in terms of data validation aligned with the KPIs mentioned, in terms of what kind of risks are there and how to mitigate those risks if any required to be done by the system. This is all about AI driven trade finance processing, which we are talking about it. Apart from that, we figured out that doing this particular activity, sometimes we see a new kind of formats are there of or regulations are there. There is a provision by a business analyst in back office to train the system also. If new type of a form is there which is issued by RBI, which a customer need to fill, and first time you need to train the system also, you need to capture this information, such kind of fresh informations are there, you need to teach. And once you teach the system, next time any kind of new forms, similar kind of forms will come, the system will automatically process it. So it's not only a black box, but a black box can be nurtured over the years based on customers requirement and helps to automate the process. That's all about this platform. So Satyan, can you move to next slide, please? Now, I would like to talk more in terms of technology. What are the technology components are available with us? So we created one microservices orchestration layer, which is responsible for document classification, document extraction, which can be connected to any of your upstream systems. Upstream systems can be your portal, your bank branch, can be bot, mobile app, through a web services based, it will connect, and for that system backend system, it's a black box which consists of a lot of technology components, which will do document extractions, classification using IBM data cap tool. It has business scrutiny rules engine, which has some BRE rules as well as a dynamic rules also. I will come to that particular piece. And further, it will connect to multiple services, data cap services, which is a proven platform from IBM, classification services from IBM content classifier, NLP extractions using Watson tool, BRE services through IBM ODM tool, as well as AI services for discovery. I just given an example to that. I'm a customer who is an automobile customer who put a request in, but you also want to check the sanity of that customer, what he's doing. This tool has a provision. It will go back to the, it will first search into the document and figure out that, okay, this is a website of this particular customer, for example. If he has given that, it has the capability to go back to backend their website, pull the information from that website and understand that whether this customer is genuine or not, or go to RBI site once in a day and figure out that what are the new acts are there, so that this system will tune himself with the new acts approaches. Like tomorrow, somewhere RBI comes with a restriction that not more than 100 grams of gold anybody can import. This is impractical, I know that, but still I want to take an example. So this system will regularly teach himself, go back to RBI site, pull the information, look into that particular and put it as a rule also. Next time any new applications comes, it will check, yes, does it meet the regulation or not? So that is one of the point which my friend Satyan has spoken a minute back in terms of compliance and regulatory ask. So this will help you to meet the regulatory ask, and whatever we are doing will be logged into a system. So anytime you need to extract the report in terms of compliance, in terms of kind of transaction, in terms of anything related to transaction you want to get, can be available on the fly, is another interesting part. So if I very specific, I want to talk about that. It provides a unified services layer with lot of abstraction to outside world, but this will definitely help our business. in great detail. And this is the guiding principle which we are following as part of this whole architecture. And further, it will connect to your downstream application, whether it is your core banking system, whether your processing system for your trade, your LSOG, anything, everything, whatever is required will be connected, not only upstream, but also downstream. As soon as it will process your information, it will pass this to downstream application to process it further, which makes this system agile, flexible, and scalable. Satyan, can you move to next slide? So if you look into this slide, it talks about it can capture information using a data cap automation technology, which will be responsible for capturing, classifying, extracting, and a Watson technology, which is a proven AI technology, which will have the features like natural language with the based on a proper noun, based on entity analytics. It will get all the required information, do the needful enrichment on the data is captured, extracted, do a deep learning, do on that based on historical information, and share you the trends and the confidence score on the data which is received for that particular customer or for that particular application or for that particular business use case. So these are the technical components will help us to achieve desired. So move to next slide, please. So now this is a flexible architecture, and I would like to be very specific to what all the tools and technologies we are using from IBM side. We are using three key components from IBM. One is Cloud Pak for integration. You heard about uh, interesting components which most of the banks are using right now: MQ, IIB, though API Connect. So this is part of Cloud Pak for integration, which provides these kinds of components. Cloud Pak for data provides data analytics capability and Watson capabilities, as well as we have Cloud Pak for automation, which provides business rule engine, extraction, classification as part of that. So if you look into this whole architecture, these are the three key IBM technologies or techno software components we are using to achieve the desired. Rule engine will capture all the rules, required rules, whether it's more on static rules are there, which change less. And if you want to change these rules, which is specific to your business requirements also, we can capture ICC rules also and keep into this, or we can create our own business rules based on requirement. And these rules can be managed very well by business team. Little IT intervention is required. That is what Satyan also highlight while in previous slides. OCR and classification, we have the engine which will help to achieve a higher accuracy rate and classify the information, and then pass this information to Watson platform, which consists of four key elements. One is Watson Studio, where we will create a various data models. We have some data models is available with us, but when we propose to customer, we can very well align with their business needs and create a data model based on their requirement. We have Watson machine learning. So these components will help in terms of extracting the required information. We use a knowledge studio and discovery services, which will do an indexing, searching to outside public clouds, connect to IceGate, connect to DGFT, RBI, ICC, jewelry promotion board, all those. There are a lot of external sites are there on which there's a dependency to complete my application, process my application. It will go search the site, pick up the information, index it so that that is readily available while processing by this engine. We have a Cloud Pak for integration, which is an orchestration layer, which is built where we are using microservices so that it can connect to multiple applications altogether. So these are the technology block which we'll use as part of our solution. So Satyan, can you move to next slide? So this is more in terms of how where this tool fix. This tool fix at extraction level as well as in between BO level, business operation level, so that the data will be taken care, the information will be taken care very well, processed very well, and pushed to fulfillment and very well plugged into your existing branch activities through a API driven interface with which we will connect. Next slide, please. So now I will talk about 4 steps, how in the way we will actually work on ground. This is step 0, where we will train system, annotates, understand using Watson Knowledge Studio, Data Cap, Watson Discovery, and build our machine learning models. And these machine learning models will be reused across rest of applications, rest of application request or a data request which comes to that. This is one-time activity we do. We train the system. As I mentioned that from a feedback perspective, we have seen that uh, if a new kind of form comes, a new regulation come, so an expert, any business expert will give a nice interface. He will train that particular new form or new approach so that it will be pushed into a system for future processing of an information. For that, we required some training data, some references also to run this effectively. Next slide, please. So as soon as a data information pushed from any of the channels in form of a TIFF image, PDF image, we will OCR it in a data cap, capture the text and do an classification. Next step, please. Next slide.
Pawan, just to intervene here, while here the document variety was questions was that is it a very standard document or very quality or variety of documents, unstructured documents coming in? That's where this solution becomes much more powerful. Yeah.
Definitely. Thanks for raising this. Because of time constraint, I'm rushing it fast. I want to spend more time, but yes, from this level, it can connect. You can any kind of unstructured document you can push. Right, as an industry standard, you all know that TIFF is PDF is a standard also, but we can look into multiple standards based on your need. And this is an interface at the data cap level where it will capture all this information, pull all this information from this document, and which will be further pushed for processing it. This generally we use the screen for training purpose. Like this is a form which where we need to capture certain items. During a feedback process, a person will capture this information. It will automatically pull, and a system will be trained accordingly, where we see an human intervention. And this kind of system can be further used by Maker to improve it further. So we provide an interface where Maker uh, if we feel that this is a new kind of document, a new set of information is there, it will pick and choose and train the system so that for similar kind of document, we will not face a similar kind of uh, challenge. So it provides a split screen interface where on the left hand side, it talks about documents, right side, it talks about fields which will whatever you will capture here, click it here, it will capture it according to that particular field. And right hand side, it talks about classification, which is auto classification we are showcasing as part of that. Next screen, please. Based on the data captured, based on a proper noun, based on rules, Watson NLU, the orchestration app will connect to a data model, pull information, process the information, and pass a decision sheet to business application to take this forward. Next slide, please. So as soon as information is processed, a scrutiny output will be there. You can see scrutiny output in a scrutiny application, which comes bundled with that, as well as all this information will be available as an API, which will be consumed by your backend application also. This will tell you that this application, what is the status? You see multicolor also, orange, amber, green, red. It will showcase that. And what are the areas you need to look into that? What are the dependencies you need to look into that? So the person who is in a back office can take quick decision on that application And most of the things related to compliance, regulatory, putting a due diligence based on historical information can be done by this system, as well as it provides an interface to a back office person to override on top of it, so that to process this application further. Next slide, please. So the key solution highlight of this is enterprise wide. It is not only for trade, but you can extend this for other business purpose also, which provide a standard way of classification extraction. It helps you to in your automation, provides an OCR NLP capabilities to make it differentiation it brings in terms of cognitive data capture. It helps you in terms of reducing a failure and failures or back and forth, and provides a scalable environment which provides an end-to-end solution. Either we can come and provide you an end-to-end solution, or this solution can fit into your system to meet the uh, uh, automation needs of the bank. And this is a proven model which is running right now at multiple locations. I would like to pass to Satyan to take this forward. Rest of the piece, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Pawan, for bringing that to the fore. But as we see that we didn't want to go too much into the technicality of it. We are seeing some brilliant questions here in terms of accuracy from Radha Kumari. This whole accuracy aspect is of great concern for the banks, and this solution has stood the test of time in terms of accuracy, and accuracy improves over time because of the machine learning aspect of it. But at the same time, IBM brings set of accelerators in various areas, whether, as I said, unstructured data ingestion, because globally maybe there are some standard documents for trade finance and it's easy to digitize it. In India, this is a challenge, and that's where the unstructured data ingestion, extraction, classification comes in very handy, because all documents may not be that structured when they are being passed on to the bank representatives. We also bring in set of multiple accelerators in whether it is business rule engine Pawan talked about, or data classification. What kind of document is this? System will automatically suggest. And the risk aspect, right? By checking with external agencies and using API power there to understand, this is a valid transaction or is a risky transaction happening? And then the analytics thereof of the whole operation. So get a view on the process. Are we improving on the process and things like that? Dashboards can be created, part of it. So we are just nearing the time here, so to take the questions. But end of the day, this solution for trade finance digitization using AI and automation, we have seen 5 key areas. Obviously, there is a reduced operational cost by optimizing the back office, so people can do more productive work there, and repetitive work is taken care by AI/ML systems and intelligent automation. The process gets much more automated, so more compliant, more faster processes, faster turnaround times. I think that was a concern raised, and very increased efficiency in the process there. So a quick poll here to check. So can we have the poll, please, here? So, yeah.
Thank you, Satyan. I'll read out the poll questions for our audience. So what would be your top challenges in optimizing trade finance processing? There are 5 options: regulation and compliance, turnaround time, operational risks due to manual processes, and legacy backend systems integration. And the 5th and last option is lack of standard process. So kindly select one of the options. We have a few seconds left. And after that, Satyan will give his insights, what he thinks about. We're ending the poll in a couple of seconds. Can we have the results, please?
Right. Thank you, Sudipta, for that. quick poll. Thank you, participants, for responding to that. What we are seeing is it's a good mix coming in. Very interesting here. We are seeing 28% saying there is a lack of standard processes. That's the top challenge. Then we have a tie on 22% on operational risk due to manual process, legacy backend system integration. Yes, absolutely. These are concerns most of the banks raise, that how do we integrate our other systems with our trade processes, right? Your treasury and core banking and others. So that's absolutely a valid and one of the very important issues, or a challenge, I should say. Turnaround time is there at 11%, regulation compliance at 17%. So I think it's absolutely, these are the very important areas. So we see that there is a concern from most of these areas, and this solution can help address most of these areas in a very efficient fashion. We can take questions since we are short of time. We can quickly take questions. So we have some questions on the chat, and we'll quickly answer those, and then we'll take up any live questions quickly. So we have a question from Ajay Balsare, that what would be the technology stack for trade finance? So it's a combination, Ajay, of IBM accelerators and set of cloud packs. Where we have a set of cloud pack for automation, data, and AI. Those set of solutions come together along with our deep experience in implementing this trade operations optimization. I think combination thereof can help those address those set of issues. We have a question from Radha Kumari. What is the level of accuracy in terms of extracting information from the physical application? So Pawan, would you like to address that?
Yes, thank you. This is an interesting question, Radha, and this is a challenge everywhere. It all depends upon what kind of input. So we prefer 200 DPI while capturing this information. This is a preference which we give. If for complete automation, if we see a lesser DPI, we see a challenges. So it is better that the document we can achieve. If we have 200 DPI, 300 DPI document is there, we can achieve more than 95, 99. I don't want to say 100% right now openly, but yes, 90% is I can 90 to 95% we can commit on that can be taken care very well. Yes, but all depends upon kind of input which we have.
Yeah, thank you, Pawan. And then we have one more question from Prashant Manohar. One of the main hurdle which impacts success rate is the documents which are different. So machine learning takes long. I agree, success is high when structured data like websites is used. Prashant, great question. The variety of document in trade finance is humongous. And that's where exactly technology like AI is very useful to improve the process times, right? And machine learning is very helpful in this. So whether in OCR, ICR technology, or understanding what is the content of the document. So both places, there is a great applicability, and then downstream further in terms of rules. So that's where we are.
Satyan, can I add on top of it? So
Sure.
Based on our experience, Prashant, this is a journey. You can't achieve 80%, 90% accuracy on first 3 months. Yes, if you say yes, first year, you will get 90% accuracy based on documents, scenarios, and all that. But it's a journey also. So AI is a journey. AI is not a quick solution, a quick Maggie solution I generally use before people also. So this takes some time. Yeah. Yes, Satyan, please go ahead.
Right. And then one question from Rafael is, this is fully operational in any of the banks at present? Yes, this solution, as we said, Stanchart is using it, and we have signed a couple of contracts here in India and in the process of execution. So it also addresses, Indian banks context also, and globally we are doing multiple banks. Yes. So
So
any
to-
other questions, Sudipta, then we should
Yes,
repeat?
yes,
Yeah.
there are actually a few more questions, and it will be great if you could answer them.
Sure.
So, does the solution work with existing trade systems set up, or it will replace the existing trade systems? You know, will it replace it, or will it be there? Yeah.
I would like to
One.
take this. I would like to take this. This can be very well plugged into your existing trade systems, uh, as well as if you don't have that level of automation, we can help you to achieve end-to-end automation also as part of that. Yeah. Next question, please.
Okay. Thank you, Pawan. And another question is: can we have multi-channel interface for trade processes? For example, can I initiate a request on the portal or visit a branch or see the status of LCBG on the mobile app?
Very good question, and this is what everybody is moving towards. That you initiate requests from any of the channel, and you can check the status or process it as any of other channel also. For example, you initiated your request trade online portal, whatever your portal name is, and as soon as we see any gaps, a notification will be generated after doing classification or doing application processing. The information will push back to that backend application, that front end application, either to a bot or to a mobile application, and you can push back to initiate further. Very much possible. This architecture is flexible to do all this kind of scenarios. Thank you.
Thanks, Pawan. We'll take quickly two more audience questions. What are the benefits banks will derive by implementation of this kind of solution? Could one of you gentlemen please take it up?
Satyan, can you take this? You can take it better. Yeah, please.
Yes. So what we have seen when we have executed this project with banks globally, and what we have done very extensive proof of concept with some of the banks here in India, we have seen that one is that the turnaround times has improved significantly. So what the other issue in trade is, sometimes the documents are back and forth happens. So that also the first time right approach improves. That is the second benefit that we have seen. The third benefit we are seeing is that the back office number of people to process this in timely manner, since now the system is doing a lot of automation and scrutiny and all, the number of people required to do that is reduced significantly, and then they can do a much more productive work. So we are seeing faster turnaround times, better customer experience, lower back office operations, people required to do that the trade finance process, right? So and moment you put it at a branch, immediately the whole system will process in few minutes. You have a full docket ready to be either approved or not to be approved, right? So you can have that construct ready. So that's where it is. So we are seeing significant benefits on all these areas.
Thanks, Satyan. And the last question is that can it be integrated, can the solution be integrated with external KYC and other regulatory government agencies providing relevant data to ensure
Definitely.
compliance checks? Yeah.
Definitely. That is what I started with that. So we in our current solution also, we see new regulations comes on RBI site. Currently in a manual way or semi automation, whatever is banks had adopted, somebody need to go to that particular site, look into those PDF documents or a site, whether it is a DGFT or ICC, and pull that particular data out, process that information in their application for a kind of automation also. The solution which we are talking right now will crawl to those particular websites, whatever we have, whatever just mentioned right now, and a couple of others also. Pull the data out, pull the rules out of it, and push into our rule repository for processing it. That is what kind of integration I'm talking about it from a data point of view. Yeah, thank you.
So that's all the time we have for today. I thank Satyan and Pawan for sharing such interesting and useful information on AI-powered automation opportunities.
Sudipta, one quick
Yes,
thing. We have a follow-up session on deep dive technical demo
Yeah.
Those who will be interested, we can be happy to take them through, because today it was just more of a concept and the solution. But those who are interested in a deep dive technical demo, we will be happy to run through at our contact center, and we can support that. Yeah.
Sure, wonderful. Thank you. And to know more, you can also contact the IBM team. The email address is arinde6@in.ibm.com, and the mobile number is 888-440-4447, and of course, the IBM India website. So thank you, audience, for your interest and time. Please remember to fill in the feedback form. We look forward to welcoming you all in our next webinar soon. Have a great day ahead. Thanks again, Satya and Pawan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.